At the turn of the 1980s, a band emerged out of San Francisco that combined the electro-futurism of the new wave new romantic movement going on within the Anglosphere and the avant-garde chamber rock that was coming out of Europe. I am talking about Tuxedomoon, and from their 1980 Ralph Records release Half Mute, the track What Use? Now, take apart what we've got here so far. It's almost like we've got two kind of songs just synchronizing. We've got this one really up tempo, kind of like synchronized, danceable, techno, proto like synth pop number, and then we've got this kind of like droning sound underneath that's kind of like lurching about, just kind of vaguely keeping pace with the rest. And yeah, I hear those kind of bass lines and those distorted, slightly off key, like guitars, just really clipped, really refined, kind of separated in the mix, like not allowed to dominate, of course. Hear those strings just kind of blend into those vocal sounds and just kind of off tune. I love just the kind of off key quality that just pervades this number. Hitting some kind of dull note there. I'm trying to place it.
What's the use? Being betrayed. What's the use of feeling at all? I'm pacing the floor. I'm wearing it smooth.
I wonder if the guitar is picking up in here. It's like it's in this channel, and it's almost like on one side of like one speaker, and then.
This is stupid. I think I'll go home.
I think that bass line is just so crafty and fluid and just holding out the bottom end. I was hearing like some kind of in there. That kind of reminds me, I guess, the bass line in 19th Nervous Breakdown. That little lick that kind of it serves as, I guess, is like the distinguishing factor of that track. That.
What's the use of moving uptown?
He's singing in such that like this like cosmopolitan type tone, and yet he's also really deadpan, as if he's just kind of taking kind of like a cynical view toward whatever he's singing about. Let's
Flying to Rome on your credit card. An endless parade of lawyers and finance. Plenty of time with nothing to do.
He almost sounds like he's singing English as a foreign language. It kind of has that like European accent. Let's see. What's the use of feeling betrayed? What's the use of feeling at all? I'm pacing the floor. I'm wearing it smooth. This is stupid. I think I'll go home. So far, these lyrics are really just playing right into the impressions I was sharing. What's the use of moving uptown, fly to Rome on your credit card, an endless parade of lawyers and finance, plenty of time, with nothing to do? I take it that this is sung from the point of view of someone who has it all, who's affluent, and yet is also kind of like nihilistic. I've always like with lines like those last few lines anyway, flying to Rome on your credit card, lawyers and finance. I've always pictured. I don't know if there's an actual music video to this anywhere, but I always pictured this band perhaps doing some kind of take on the businessman theme that was popular around this time. I'm thinking like Penthouse and Pavement by Heaven 17 or The Completion Backward Principle by the Tubes. Like just all suited up in like kind of like metro chic, sophisticate, and yet making all kinds of and yet moving sort of like robotic and with these like emotionless looks on their face, like kind of doing those like robotic mannerisms and movements and everything. And all those like searing sounds that go into this.
Oh yeah.
I love how you just have all this like fractious, like manicured sound just colliding, just slightly barely in tune to the chordal backdrop, and yet you've got that really clean, really thin electronic drum just guiding everything, just keeping everything bound and in line.
Give me new noise. Give me new affection. Strange new toys from another world. I need to see more than just 3 dimensions. Stranger than fiction. Faster than light.
I don't know if Ultravox, Yellow, Artzoid, and ZNR somehow came together and produced. This would be something musical together. This would be something resembling this. There's my banal simile. That was What Use by Tuxedomoon from their 1980 Ralph Records release, Half Mute. Stephen Brown, vocals, saxophone, synthesizer, keyboards, electronic percussion, credited on this album. Blaine Reininger, violin, vocals, synthesizer, keyboards, guitar, bass guitar. These guys are quite the multi-instrumentalists here. Peter Principle. So they're a trio on this album. Yeah, no Winston Tong, or they had some other members too. The band's been through a few iterations over the years. Let's hear another track, instrumental off the album. There's like what time signature is that goes like 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5, and I can count the first. There's like a bar of five and then a bar followed by a bar that's just kind of throwing me because of the accent or something that's being thrown in. Oh, here are the different layers we've got going on. We've got that violin just working its way upward, and we've also got that kind of like electronic or that. I almost wonder if like if a bass is being played backward somehow. It's like it's it almost sounds like they played a bass line, like or like a fretless bass line, and then reversed the tape or something, and are like doing these violins and over it. We're basically going like half steps, like C minor, C sharp, C minor, and then up to E flat. Like yeah, that's. Hear the cutting of those strings. That one going no 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 no, and then there's that other like striking kind of like lower violin tone. Kind of like what Artzoid would be doing in a few years when they started to incorporate some electronic instrumentation in. But of course, a bit more hummable, like sticking to a theme here throughout it, and than Artzoid, because Artzoid would have Artzoid would have never played the same pattern for a minute and 44 seconds like this. Hear that kind of like icy organ. Another, I guess, reason why Artzoid comes to mind is that this, just like Artzoid, is very rhythmically strong, very rhythmically tight, despite there being no drummer, no percussion. Now that was quite a head spinner. Volo Vivace by Tuxedomoon from Half Mute, an instrumental track off that album, side 2. Let's hear one more, the track right after it, 7 Years. sort of diminished key center we've got going on, like diminished, with that really kind of downer vocals and just everything just slightly kind of off center.
He don't even smile at you, and you don't want another day.
Heck, if What Use kind of sounded like sort of like some mid ground between Ultravox and Artzoid, this sounds kind of like a mid ground between like Artzoid and Tuxedomoon or something. Okay, 2 Banal similes per video in this video.
Then you end up with 7 years. 7 years in one night. 7 years in one night.
Like that.
Sit in your chair. Sit and stare.
Hear that bum bum bum.
Think about moving, but you don't do it. Just thinking about it is just enough. You start dreaming, your eyes wide open. And after a while, you open your eyes.
What is the significance of 7 years? I'm wondering. I look forward to seeing, but 7 years. I've always wondered, when does like a passage of time become a long time? Like 4 years may not seem that long ago, but how long does it take for it to really seem like, oh, that was a different era, or things have really changed since then. Styles have really changed. The music has changed. The world was a different place, but 7 years. I once thought that like 4 years isn't very long ago. 5 years, not too long ago. Just kind of a breath away. In some ways, anyway, depending on how you see it or what you compare the present to. 6 years is kind of stretching it. 6 years really does kind of start to feel like a while ago. Like yeah, I've been through some life changes since then. I'm not exactly the same person I was 6 years ago. 7 years ago, getting kind of like over the a bridge maybe beyond what you could say is recent times.
Realize you ain't been sleeping. 7 years have just gone by. 7 years in one night. 7 years in one night.
Let's catch up with the lyrics here. Now you're lonely, I'm feeling strained. Friends just talking and walking away. He don't even smile at you, and you don't want another day. Then you end up with 7 years. 7 years in one night. 7 years in one night. Oh, I'm starting to think that 7 years haven't passed at all for whatever time of is being measured. I'm thinking that 2 people who can't stand each other and have no chemistry anymore spent a night together, and it was just so dull, so undesirable, that it seemed like 7 years. Sit in your chair, you sit and stare. Think about moving, but you don't do it, because thinking about it is just enough. You start dreaming, your eyes wide open. Yeah, forcing yourself to put your mind to something, being so uninspired that just trying to apply yourself to the very concept, trying to approach the concept as an effort in and of it, trying to even say the word or mention the name. After a while, you open your eyes, realize you ain't been sleeping, because 7 years have just gone by. 7 years in one night. 7 year. Before I thought that maybe it was about an uneventful experience that before the person knew it had consumed 7 years of his or her life. And now I kind of have more of like an inverted sense. It's like 7 years in one night. Yeah. Oh, another what must have been a really big influence on this was John Cale, who would often during the 1970s did a lot of kind of classic like Tin Pan Alley pop songs that would get more and more demented as the song progressed and would sometimes get enveloped in this sort of avant-garde fractious viola like stew. And he could also be kind of deadpan in his vocals.
7 years and one night. 7 years and one night. 7 years.
That was 7 Years by Tuxedomoon from the 1980 Ralph Records release. Half Mute, their first full length album, after having cut a pair of EPs on local press San Francisco labels in 1978 and 79, when Winston Tong was a member. I think he would rejoin later. Yeah, Tuxedomoon at this point, 1980, I'm not sure if they had jetted over to Belgium yet. For a while, they were kind of more tied to the European scene. Well, they signed to that one Belgian label, that had like artists like Wim Mertens and I think Doriti. So some of the that wing of like the new wave indie scene from like from England and crossing the channel that were influenced somewhat by 20th century classical and Eric Satie. I'm thinking like Doriti Collum, Vinnie Riley, Wim Mertens, yeah, and Tuxedomoon kind of got sort of came into the crosshairs of that, yeah. Interesting band, very much. I would have to say one of the most European bands ever to European style type bands to ever hail from the U.S. West Coast. But then again, some people like I remember there was this one passage in the book that Jonathan Chun wrote about Split Enz, about his time in Split Enz, where he says that when the band got to San Francisco, it reminded them of Europe somehow. Kind of a pretty, I guess in the 70s anyway, a rather European city and style city in a lot of ways. Yeah. For more Rubies and Sapphires from this album, see the directory of albums from 1980, linked in the description below, for over 1,000 titles from this great and highly competitive year, from which Half Mute has definitely made this listener's top 10%. So it's in my top 100 albums from a very competitive, very action-packed, very diverse year, full of great music from around the world and many different genres. Yeah, to sink your teeth more into 1980 and get to know its many wonders. Don't try and take it all in one day, but yeah, go through the 11 pages or so at your leisure and queue up the red hot tracks and tasty purples at your leisure with whichever artists you feel like exploring on a particular day. Yeah, and wait quite a while before you come to any final conclusions about 1980. Like and subscribe and follow me on social media and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about these three tracks, the layers, the vocal delivery, the rhythmic qualities, the fractious abstract sonic filigree that was going on. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most air-traveled trimaximalist, signing off.